experience it. But I don't see any alternative, especially after this morning's discussion. So, I don't know, let's open the discussion there. Does anyone have any issues with saying Manila will do twos in Ocata, whether it goes well or not? We will volunteer to be the first. Is anyone aware of a reason that's not going to work out?
I don't have an issue with it. I would suggest that let's more risk on it. Landing and happening. Well, if things go bad and it's a short release, maybe that's...
Not really. So I mean,
well, it might be easier than the other option.
If it goes bad for us, we would just back out the change.
That's what I mean, and then it wouldn't be an Ocata.
Right, but what I'm more worried about is that it goes fine for us, but then the people who redistribute Manila, it screws them, and all of a sudden all the Manila distributions don't work anymore. And there's nothing we can do about that directly, other than talk and message and have backup.
Right, so we'd more likely find out after the release.
Around feature freeze time.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It'd be getting close, and we'd say it's risky, and it wouldn't happen. But so no reason not to do it. It just might be a more conservative approach. I don't know.
Could we make it a way where you could turn it off so you don't even have to import to? Like,
well, yeah, we could create an escape hatch or backup plan so that in case of emergency, pull this lever and it goes back to the way it was or something. We could always end up pushing a bug fix patch after a feature freeze if there was a truly horrible situation that was created. It's just, that's a fire drill you don't want to have. You can see it coming in advance. So I guess we just need to acknowledge that might happen. So to the extent that we can plan backup plan early, that's a good idea. I know Gotham has the patch that actually adds twos to Manila. So Gotham, you've played with twos fairly extensively.
Extensively, yeah.
Well,
because of the fact that, I mean, in my environment it was single node and multi-node, right? I deployed file driver and using Zookeeper through Kazoo. And I was testing the shell application workflows. Things were going fine, as far as I could see.
With all the locks running on.
Yes, logs were getting acquired, released, absolutely fine, as I would
expect. How many nodes? How many?
2 share nodes.
But are there like two DevStack VMs or one DevStack VM? 2 services.
2 shared services, 2 different nodes, not the same node.
Okay, so truly distributed.
Yes, and logs getting acquired and all that is fine. One issue was Clint was bringing up, saying Zookeeper requires the heartbeat service to be started, and we're spawning an event-led thread to do the heartbeat for us. But there was no way for us to see whether the heartbeat was truly happening. So we were trying to do some debugging on that. That's where we were. So we're going to figure that out. That's one.
There's no reason to believe that it wasn't happening.
Yeah, there's no reason to believe that it's not happening, because if you kill the service, it does say heartbeats down and stuff. But we just were not heartbeat at all. Like if you were to try to log something to a file or something like that, it seems.
So who else has hands-on experience with twos? Nobody? This is the concept here.
This volunteer to get created, okay. It's just the heartbeat thing. We tried file or anything to prove ourselves eating.
I can write a small blog post on how to set it up with Manila share services on 2 different nodes if anyone wants to start playing from it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, does the patch that I haven't looked at the patch?
Yeah, I need to read it.
Does it add all the DevStack changes?
No, it does not install for you. That was the point. Like we could have our plugin install what we needed.
So if the gate to be running with 2.
Yeah, so we would have that built into our DevStack plugin to install, right?
Why are we going to do that?
you could use it, I mean, that was going to be my next question.
As long as you don't
Yeah,
break as well.
the only thing we have to commit to is the decision for what backend to run only matters for the purpose of our testing, right? We would support other backends as well.
Yeah.
I pick one for gate testing, and so the question was going to be, so you tried Zookeeper, what other ones have we tried? The file locking backend seems like a joke, twos at least, because it doesn't.
Well, it does exactly what is happening now with our file locks. I didn't see anything wrong as it run tempest against.
Right. So under normal conditions it behaves the same, but under failure conditions,
we don't know what
you don't know if it behaves the same or not. But we know that it doesn't support things like clear election and other tools features that you might want.
It's a tools abstraction.
Yeah, so that's going to be the next part of this discussion.
The projects that want to do two, I thought they might do twos and just don't want to be the first ones. Have any of them given up on it, or they're just all?
They're all waiting. I mean, so
there's no real bad news there yet.
It was in the month or two leading up to this whole distributed locking question started happening in the mail list back 13 months. The email archive and those discussions. In the Josh Harlow showed up and said, "Hey, I wrote this news thing that we'll solve all these problems." So we started talking about it. And was like, yeah, this is the way to do it. The main dispute was, do you need an action layer at all? Can we just pick and that make everyone's life easier? And the problem was everyone is the best, but hey Java, so we need another option. But that was that discussion. And I don't have an opinion in that discussion, but there was some very strong opinions in Tokyo. The problem was we all went home after Tokyo, and no one did anything. Here we are a year later, and still no one's doing anything. So I think that's why everyone's nervous. Afraid that there's some mines buried out in the field. They don't want people to walk out into that field. We seem to be in a position where we don't have a lot of other good options. Solve this problem correct. The other option is to do what Cinder's done. Write a bunch of heavyweight database engineering that no one understands.
They have replaced the box in that support service with slots, the volume manager.
Right.
Yes, it's just not mentioned.
Right. There's a plan to wait like neutron and like kilometer.
But what can we go about?
Well, we could. The downside to that approach is that nobody really understands all of the machinery and synergy set. And Orca's not going to come over and do that.
No, I'm not saying the API can. I'm talking about the tools, the way that make it mandatory. Is that what we're trying to do in Manila? Make the tools.
No, you need to rely on something for correctness. In a distributed environment. What came out of this morning was, distributions are already running the API service and scheduling service in active multi-node configuration and expecting that to work. Not running the share service in active configuration yet, but without an active configuration, you still have race conditions. So we have to fix race conditions. And what's clear, unless we do it in a way that also we're going to solution won't end up working for the multi-node situations. That the distributors are already telling their customers. So we're sort of being forced to go ahead and do active correct while we fix the race conditions.
We can fix them with auto locking. For the single node, we can fix it with the file auto lock. Mm-hmm. And then if you want HA or anything better, And that could get us through a release for distributors, may not distribute it.
Put a config option in, they'll let the employer decide if they want file locks or not. And then if we rely on file locks for correctness, then we just don't get correctness when you run Red Hat. Or Suzy or any of the major distributors.
That was the question.
Well,
But to be fair, you're not getting correctness today.
Right.
So it's not a step backwards.
Right, you get it with...
It just seems to spend a bunch of time fixing something to get to the end and have it not be fixed.
Yeah, so we could all tell it's going to be fixed, et cetera, while distributions catch up to get to.
So I would that. So it's part of the global requirements, right? And it's when a project puts it in its requirements. So that's what happens.
We ship tools.
So you ship tools. So what you're right. The problem is includes with the same thing that Oslo 5 gave us.
Right, that was last time between file lock and boot lock. Yeah, you put in boot lock, and then it was put file or. Correct.
Oh yeah, if we have twos, then we don't even have to have any logic around it. We just say that, I hope your distro supports Zookeeper if you want to use Zookeeper. If you don't, it's cool.
We've done
That sounds reasonable. The question is, why haven't other services done at least that far?
Why haven't what?
Why haven't
That's the default, right? This is the default. So if you are not using tools, then you have to use the, you can still use them. You can just have that, like, at least in the drivers, if we're not intending to get rid of those. And it's removed from the menu.
Tool slots have been.
Yes.
Yes, tools, yes.
So.
But I think that.
Already.
But the thing said they're optional.
It is optional, can be.
Optional for the developer, the deployer, for the user.
Well, but I think the backend, yeah, the backend can be, that's the backend option of that. Yeah.
But no core code actually depends choose for correctness. Only drivers.
Core code assumes that tools is going to be correct.
So I think the tools.
Particular driver, yes.
I asked this question: is there any core code that depends on?
So in the heartbeat, heartbeat is ignored by the file driver by the way tools implements it.
Right. Okay.
So that's all the core code depend on a particular driver for. So we send the service sends a heartbeat. It is agnostic of what tools it runs with. If it's the file driver, it's going to ignore the heartbeat. But that's just the way tools work with the file driver. And we hardcode the file driver as our default config option as a tools backend. And in conflicts, when
we will change that.
We will, if you
change it to default something that we actually recommend, like Zookeeper or etcd. And of course, people can still modify the config if they choose, but someone who doesn't know how to modify will still get decent behavior. Right?
Yeah, so now we just keep the file until...
It's a Zookeeper.
Well,
once we have a distro that...
The distros will set the options. They have their own defaults.
Yeah,
they don't depend on our defaults. They have their own defaults. The only people that depend on the defaults are developers and people who deploy upstream.
Yeah.
And people who deploy from upstream will be smart enough to do the right thing. Developers should be using Zookeeper or CD if we decide that's better. We'll make a decision as a team after we have experience with those. Say, okay.
The current patch proposes file driver as the default. Could we go with that and then make this decision?
Yeah, we'll just change it.
You want to change that when it goes, right? I mean, is that...
We can do the patch and then file another patch to change something better. Okay. We're not going to leave it as a file because...
Yeah, we can do our testing. Yeah, because I'd like to test with SCD. I'd like for other people to take a look at what and test it with us.
Right, yeah. We need to make sure that whatever we put in the gate actually works. So we'll do all of the appropriate tests.
Something can be configured to use local file lock. I just been trying to patch, so why can that's I think that's the question. Can you do that? Make that a default then what's the
because we don't get components.
But that Tinder is always not that good at first.
Tinder isn't relying on for correctness. So if it was,
it It is the manager is already changed to user.
Well, that was the question I just asked. Where?
It's still manager, I'm looking for.
Are there specific locks that, two locks that, if done correctly, it's in follow-up?
You mean that's non-HA?
Yeah, I thought it only showed up in the HA.
Yeah, I think it only comes from HA cases. I think they worry about races with the same service.
You're saying Cinder volume, Cinder API, not Cinder schedule.
Thanks. She's going
There. Yeah, but they only run one of those. So it only has to lock it itself. File lock is perfectly reasonable. But then implementation was a waste of time. That's all they use.
Well, I think they do need it for the volume service. I don't know if they use it for the service.
They start the coordinator with all the services, but they don't use it for anything. And the Manila batch, we don't start the coordinator for because we have that impending question whether we want to use it outside of the service.
Yeah, we did.
I don't see why we want to start different coordinators if they're not going to use them.
So we want to use locks in the API service, middle service, anything that needs to make atomic updates to state. That was the whole point of this discussion. You locks
There wasn't note that I agreed with.
you said it was less essential there.
We agreed to not send it in the API service. That's right.
So a lot of this depends on how well this. If we implement, we have no problems. It just works. Then we can get all of our race conditions and fix all of our problems and have high availability for all of our services in Ocata. I think the problem is nobody believes that it's going to have no problems. Something will be a challenge, and we're going to have some sort of compromise down the road. And what we this morning is, if we compromise anything, it should be the API service and the scheduler focus on getting the volume, or sorry, the share correct, because that's the one that matters.
We give the most gain in share service, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
we also allow distros that are running the share service to pass it in any until they go back in the functional, right? But if we force distros to get prematurely back in for API, just in order to run the API service for free of that reception, that they use it away. And I'm going to argue for a little bit of it. I'm not arguing the end goal of using the database changes in terms of our work.
Putting
using the transition states around the database, so what can be done, whether or not
So putting a twos lock in the API doesn't hurt anyone.
I'm sorry?
Putting a twos lock in the API service doesn't hurt anyone.
No, it doesn't really hurt. I'm just talking about in terms of emphasis, though. I mean, you're getting the most value in the share service. Okay? Yeah. We're not going to put everywhere all at once, right? One. Yeah. We're probably somewhat incremental basis. So there's a lot of value in.
I would like to
high value races in the share service, protecting them with foods and selling that to the world. And then we start doing it more general.
And then we parallelize the work with the transitional status in the API with this work. Because
yeah, I mean, I want original states right away, and right because then we have database protection, across paths, different services and stuff like that. We still have some small races when we gain the state.
So I would like all of this to happen within the Ocata release.
I understand, and when I say incremental, it doesn't mean you can't all happen.
Right.
But it allows for the possibility of time. Still get what we're on this one.
No, I'm not arguing for big bang. I don't want anyone. I don't want to be dragging our feet as a community on this particular issue because we've done that for a long time and we have.
I support the idea of Manila getting out there and change. But we can can say this in a final record. This is what we're going to do. I'm talking about our work plan and try to focus on the highest value. Blocks where, where if you run active, because then we can help out when people say, why are you doing it? We can say, well, I'm working on this race. I'm not working on some race that I theoretically can happen, and we can make it happen faster. We don't think operators are ever going to do it, and if they do it, they don't need to have an error anymore.
Right.
Okay, no, I can't sell that back to my people as a reason to put in new piece of infrastructure, right? But if we're avoiding the big correction, run the shared service active, we're not doing today, we can scale it out, or can't today, then that's high value.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm pretty sure Gotham is some of the first ones.
Yeah,
We'll
but
have to get a session tomorrow on. Right?
yeah, so that's yeah, we are going to fix something with transitional states over there and some amount of blocking with file locks again. But yeah, I'll actually take you through the downsides of those things.
Okay. So the other issues related to HA came up this morning. So assuming that we have the distributed locking problem fixed, high availability itself involves running multiple copies of every service, both for scalability reasons, so you can get more work done, but more importantly, with the assumption that some of them might go down as surprise, right? That's the whole point. You run multiple services so that if one goes down, you have another one sitting right there. You don't have to have some sort of a maker mechanism detecting something that has failed and then bringing another service up. It's just there, ready to go. We can start accepting the work. So as we discussed this morning in the jobs table and the Manila data service, you immediately have a problem where you obviously want to have multiple data services, but if one of them is doing some work, you want to be able to recover from that, right? So the proposal that Rodrigo made to do the way you create a job is you put a row into the table and then you send an RPC, and then some data service pulls that RPC off the queue and then goes and does that job. That's great for starting jobs. But if he dies, you need, one, a mechanism to detect that something that was in progress isn't anymore, so we can do something about that. And two, once detected it, doing something about it would really involve reassigning work to someone else, so we need a mechanism for that. And that only affects the data copy service, but any kind of operation. So say you were taking a snapshot, and that RPC just went to one backend, and the node that was doing work died, and it was a snapshot request. If you have another data backend somewhere, like to either complete that snapshot request or eventually get it to an error state. So part of me thinks that relying on two's selection will help us here. It will certainly help us for the mentioned this morning about all of the background work that we automatically can share stats, the replica status updates, any sort of cleanup you do on startup. Those are all things that you want every back end to be doing. So you need leader election to figure out who should be doing those things. But as far as figuring out who's dead and what's to do with the work that the dead guy was doing, I think that.
Do you have any information on how to get those cases? Like update the stats. Do all?
It doesn't have active of the individual backends yet, right?
Yeah, but there are in the design session also other sessions some information with the customers did some work around.
Oh, yeah, but what happens there is it just runs on both backends, you get updates twice as often.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, however many you run, it just happens more often.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world because the scheduler just accepts the updates.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
In that case, no. But what for the case you are creating a hub or creating a share? Do both of them create a share?
No, the RPC, it's a RPC mechanism. You send out an RPC unicast. One of the two backends pulls it off the queue and does the work. I'm pretty sure that in Cinder, if someone dies in the middle of an operation, it's just too bad. It's the same thing as if you're running a single.
No, but because the worker is doing that, that will be handled.
Oh, yeah.
We have class the concept now in Cinder now, but everything's still working in progress.
But I mean, I'm saying stuff that was, stuff where an operation got pulled off the queue and started, but then the process died.
But there is some handling there as well. I don't know the exact status, like how much is implemented, but it has a plan to handle those kind of scenarios. With failure, then...
I'd like to take the brain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's intentional, but
He's hoping it's for
yeah.
Then it's like a...
So I'm open to suggestions in this area because I think one option is just to say, well, you got unlucky, that's too bad, right? I mean, it happens in OpenStack all the time.
The problem is that you may be stuck in a transitional state. You cannot trigger that one again, you have to reset state and start again.
So you file a ticket with the admin, you reset state,
Yeah.
it puts it back to where it's supposed to be, and then you go on. I mean, that's been the status quo since the beginning, right? If it just dies in the middle of doing work, you're stuck in a transitional state, and you have to call the admin. So the question is, can we do better? So as far as figuring out who's dead, a heartbeat mechanism, we already have a heartbeat mechanism for services. What we don't have is something that watches that.
Where the leader would watch the other members.
Exactly. That's where I was going. If we had to elect a leader for like all of, let's say I have a bunch of backends, and one of them is called like NetApp 1, and I have two different instances of NetApp backend 1. So one of them will elect itself the leader, and then if the other guy dies, after some amount of time, to be able to see the heartbeats have stopped, and say, well, okay, I need to go see if he was working on anything that I can finish off or that I can push to an error state, because I know it's never going to get done. And of course, if the leader dies, then leader election calls the other guy to become the leader and figure out the same thing about the dead guy.
Why do you use
only one guy should be looking at who's dead and starting and doing cleanup operations related to that, right?
What is the cleanup operation? Is the one back?
Sure, but how do you decide who?
Oh, I think...
So you have three backends, one of them dies, and then the two guys, they fight over his remaining work and whoever... No, but I mean, they race to get the lock, and whoever gets the lock is responsible for...
So the thing is the workers table can kind of keep track of those, and then to update this table, then he used the same kind of condition updates, and kind of to make sure that there is no risk conditions.
Right, this is, okay. I don't grasp the workers table.
That's a new thing.
Not in Newton, but like, Ocata?
It is there.
It is in Newton?
Mm-hmm. It's on the patch.
So is it used
table.
for every single operation, like creating volumes, deleting volumes, creating snapshots, deleting snapshots, everyone has a worker?
I don't know the details, but there's a table there for the task.
Yeah,
so
I'm worried that if every single operation involves like creating new rows and tables, those tables are going to grow really big really fast. That's not good. I mean, yeah, I could imagine a way of tracking this all in the database for everything that's being worked on. With some flag, so you know who owns that. You have had that already. I mean,
Is it too bad to go as far as Access in Python?
Using what?
Stack project. as we were talking
What I didn't hear
election
you
taxes,
Access.
are you familiar with taxes? It's really the election and consensus algorithm.
Right. But TOOS is supposed to give us that.
Yes, yes, it's similar, but there are some vital implementation of taxes.
Is access to backend potentially?
I mean, we would need to adapt it, but then we could solve exactly that. Like, who is the leader, or who is doing a certain.
I don't really care how we do. You know,
Yeah, it's just an algorithm. I like it very much. We use it quite a lot, but I think it doesn't think it makes much sense to introduce it here. Because the tools and the backends provide us with that, frankly, why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, I said I'm not sure if maybe our problems can be solved with what we have now.
so I think we agree we need a way of doing this. TOOS is an obvious way, not opposed to other ways, but it would be weird to, if the community is coalesced around TOOS as the way to lead an election, you wouldn't want to be the only team to go pick some other library. So, all right, so we're making notes. Got about 5 minutes left.
But solving that problem of things getting stuck in a state separate.
That's true, but one of the alleged benefits of HA is that even when stuff dies, you're not hosed. So it looks a lot worse if you're still dropping work on the ground when nodes die, because the reason you implemented HA was so that wouldn't happen. If you only have one node, you sort of already accepted that some work is going to get dropped. So I'm realizing just figuring out which node died, and then it doesn't solve all the problem. And I think Shing, you mentioned workers table.
Yeah, it's there. I already have that in my database.
So whether we do that or not, we need a way to track
You look at
who was doing
checking right now.
certain things, right? Like,
It's not merged.
No, it is merged, definitely merged. It's there.
if you have it,
I should say you're adding.
well, so yeah, I don't know what the workers table looks
I
like.
have workers
But
in my database now.
But clearly, if you have an operation, you like create a snapshot, and that goes to a particular back end,
Yes, someone touched it.
there has to be a record somewhere that specific node has that operation, so that if he dies, you know that one isn't going to get completed, because there could be another one that's also in progress, but the guy hasn't died.
So there is also a cleanup process as well. So there is also a procedure to clean up if something like this happens.
Yeah.
So it's using that workers table as well. So it's going to remove the one.
It's a table, it's not just a column.
No, yeah, it's called, if you go look at if you have a current it's there, workers, if you just show what table is the workers table.
All right, I'll just look at
So
it.
they're making data pad.
Yeah.
That the one that adds or take it out?
Yeah, he just has to.
I'm just looking at it on maps.
So hard to-
There's a worker there.
No, the one I added is for the tools. I didn't add the,
It's just in
we'll
the
move on to talk about
I added
workers table.
I added it in
model.
the file.
You don't remember the file is?
Yeah, but I'm not interested. Click it.
Alright. Well, now I gotta click a bunch of things.
I'm just being lazy because
Me too.
we only have a couple of minutes left.
Alright, I get it.
So again, this is something that I want to drive personally in the Ocata release, because I want to ideally get it done.
Links,
And I'd rather focus on this kind of like features. But I'm going to need volunteers to help, because there's a lot of work here, a lot of testing.
Okay.
So, who else is interested in actually contributing to getting HA
Okay.
implemented?
At this point, we can head on and talk about providing the batch game as the basis, get it working, and I can address the comments on and push up the change with share manager. I have other priorities for this release. And
you have other priorities after that work is done?
I mean, this is a question, again. It's not a matter of lack of interest. There are other priorities. I don't want to pull them all out here, but so many my case, like,
Why?
I have other things that I'm expecting to do first.
Okay. I want to like form like a working group or something and have, you know, I don't know, weekly meetings or something on the side to focus on this stuff. I don't know if we need a separate group to do high availability versus addressing the race conditions, but I wanted to have some sort of a tighter communication with the group of people working on this.
So, I mean, this is important. We need to make it through the spec process, spec process.
We'll talk about the spec process tomorrow.
And then consider some of these basic parts.
I'm talking another one is the workers table.
I don't mean the basic.
That's what I'm talking about. You are talking about how to use it.
So this is, from my perspective, this is the highest priority thing for me. I would like to treat it as a high priority feature for the release. So yes, it would need a spec. Probably have to do a lot of prototyping and research before that spec can be written. We want to get this. We want to get people to agree to the spec, and then we want to implement what the spec says in the code within the release. And ideally with feature freeze.
I mean, within the release question, so it says, well, is that all by January 17th or whatever? Or if races are identified later, we say, that's a race, it's a bug.
Oh, well, if we miss one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So, I'm just pointing out it's not entire. Obviously, the beginning part is feature, you know.
The addition of the new states and of the new features and of the features that are obviously, or the changes that are obviously features that will be enumerated in the spec should all be done before feature freeze. If we're finding new races, those are we'd always treat those as bugs. So the spec isn't going to say fix all the bugs. It'll just fix the ones we know about already. You know? Okay. So the main thing I learned is that there might be some interesting ideas in this workers table from Cinder. But
I think he also uses that the condition updating that you don't like for some kind of logging. I remember that I read that in his blog.
Okay. Well,
we maybe need to use a little bit of that.
Yeah, but the only piece of information that you really need is which of the multiple backends pulled that message off the queue and was working on it at the time that it died, right? So there's never going to be races on those because it'll always be just one node writing to that column in that table.
But the workers actually
race later then, when you pick up the work.
But after you've identified somebody died and he was even working on something.
We have multiple people trying to pick it up and say, I got it.
What? Right, so I was saying a leader election would solve that, and so would having a locker around it. But yeah, we have to acknowledge something needs to be done there. Because if you have three and only one dies, you have two people who could potentially take it over. Okay.
And that was behind my question on the job state. This is an issue as well. But those are going to be separate tables, like your stable and stable. You can, as I understand, you can see how, in a superficial way, you can one use those things.
I think that they're separate things. Yeah. You need...
They both work, and somebody's doing work. And
you need the ownership information in either case. That would come from either place.
Gorka was using the name policy.
Yeah, I was.
So,
did he change it from job to something else? Workers. Okay. All right. Well, I bet somebody else has this room. Well, this session is over. We don't have another session today. Our next session is tomorrow. Oh.